Israel has announced its plans to escalate its military operations in Gaza, with Defence Minister Katz stating that the Israeli military will seize, and I quote, large areas of territory and incorporate them into, and I quote again, security zones. In a statement on Wednesday, Katz emphasized that the operation aims to destroy and clear areas of terrorists and terrorist infrastructure. However, this expansion is expected to lead to a large-scale evacuation of Palestinian civilians. The move follows reports from local hospitals that at least 15 Palestinians were killed in an overnight strike across Gaza. Reports suggest that Israeli forces have already begun operations in Rafah, with Israeli military orders forcing around some 140,000 people to leave their homes. Similar evacuation directives were also issued for parts of northern Gaza. Israeli army radio reported that tanks and ground forces have started advancing into central and eastern parts of Rafah, raising concerns that a full-scale ground invasion is imminent. Deadly Israeli airstrikes were reported in various parts of Gaza on Wednesday. Let me tell you something else that might shock you. A strike on UN clinic sheltering displaced families in Jabalia reportedly killed 19 people, including 9 children, according to the nearby Indonesian hospital. The Israeli military stated that the targets was, and I quote, Hamas terrorists hiding in command and control center. Additional overnight strikes killed at least 20 more people, with first respondents recovering 12 bodies, including children and women, from a home in Khan Yunis. A witness, Rida Al-Jabbar, said a neighbor and 3-month-old baby were among the dead, describing the devastation as, and I quote, unbearable. What's about humanitarian situation? The humanitarian situation in Gaza continued to deteriorate. As expected, Israel has refused to allow aid into Gaza since March 2nd, the longest aid blockade since the war began. The lack of essential supplies, including food, including medicines, have even exaggerated the suffering of civilians trapped in the war zone. Last month, the UN scaled down its operations in region after multiple humanitarian workers, including a UN staff member, were killed by Israeli forces. The international community has repeatedly called for an immediate resumption of aid deliveries, warning of a deepening humanitarian crisis. But who cares? The latest offensive is part of Israel's broader strategy to launch on March 18 after blaming Hamas for rejecting a new US-backed ceasefire proposal aimed at securing the release of some 59 hostages still held in Gaza. Hamas in turn accused Israel of violating a previously agreed deal in January. The Hostages and Missing Family Forum in Israel, representing relatives of those still held captive, expressed shock at the news that urged the Israeli government to prioritize securing their response. But like I said, who cares? The expansion of Israel's military campaign has drawn mixed reactions across the globe, while Israeli officials defend the operation as, and I quote, necessary for the security. Many international organizations and human rights groups have condemned the increased violence and warning to dire consequences for civilians. United Nations officials have warned that intensified military operations could result in further destruction and loss of life, with lasting consequences for region's stability. What stability are we talking about here? As the conflict intensifies, question remains over the long-term implications of Israel's expanding quote-unquote security zones and the broader regional impact of this military strategy. The situation in Gaza remains precarious, with no clear resolution in sight. For now, the people of Gaza continue to bear the brunt of an unrelenting war as diplomatic efforts to broker peace deal remains elusive.